Hi, Luis. How are you?
Good evening, teacher. How are you doing?
Good. How did you do
I
last week?
just arrived. Very well. The exam. I have the results here. Fortunately, they didn't find something
Serious?
dangerous, something like that. Serious, yes. Thank you. But they found how do you say three big hemorrhoids? Did you call
Okay.
hemorrhoids or in English?
Let's check.
So, so they have to make me a surgery, but I have to see the surgeon
Yes.
next Friday. I have an appointment with the surgeon.
Okay.
But I don't know if you say hemorrhoids. I don't know.
Let's see. Let's see. It says,
I don't have my.
I found this is the word in English. And I found this is the pronunciation. Hemorrhoids. Hem.
Hem,
Hemer.
hemorrhoids. Okay,
Hemorrhoids.
hemorrhoids. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So if you
I
need the
feel
surgery, so
better today. Excuse me, teacher.
if you need the surgery, then so there is no other solution.
No, the next Friday I will see the surgeon.
Okay, and do you still work for the same language center?
I maybe you remember I'm working with a Divino
Uh,
Salvador School. Is your question?
yeah, but I thought you were for a place where students could like get their high school degree in a shorter time, like those students who don't have
Ah,
like the regular school
yes.
year, but that they have.
Sometimes I teach English classes there, but those are only few during the year because they have two years in 1 year. Is what you say. Maybe they finish 2 years in 1 year.
Exactly. So
Es
sometimes
educación para el trabajo. Yes.
educación para el
But
trabajo.
no para el trabajo. It's where yes they study only 6 months, and in 6 months they do 1 year, and the other 6 months they do another year. So they do 2 years in a year.
Okay. But regularly you work for Divino Salvador.
Yes, regular, but I'm tired there. Yes, I think I am gonna finish because I was waiting the answer of Jorge about the American School Way because they offered they told me that when I finish my training process, I can work with them. But we don't know what is happening now. So I think they are not going to sign the
What happened was that the people who were hired by the time we contact the American School Way, I mean the people we talked to at American School Day at the time we started like talking about the possibility of having uh, our teachers teaching there, those people are not working there anymore. So they were, yeah, they were fired, you know. So because of that, there are new people there in the process of getting the information, in the process of uh, yeah, like try to catch up with all the work that these other people had. That's the reason why the process stopped, like in the middle, and that's the reason why we don't still have an answer from them.
Yes. So I'm worried. Hello, Paola. I'm so sorry. I didn't see you. But teacher, what I'm thinking is finishing now with the school I'm working with because I'm losing my time there. They don't care. Students don't care about learning English. They don't care about anything. The nun or the director said that all of them have to pass. It doesn't matter if they don't do anything. So I'm very tired to
Yeah.
spend my time, and I'm very tired, physically tired of that,
Hmm.
because they
Yeah,
don't
I
do anything.
understand.
They only bothering all the time. They are very rude people, very bad word speaking all the time. So I'm very tired. So I'm looking for another place,
Well, yeah, that's well. If you don't feel comfortable there, it's better that you look for other place where to teach,
of course.
and it's necessary that you quit.
Yes, because it's what I like.
Okay. And Paola, how long have you been teaching at the place where you are working now?
Me or Paola?
Paola, because you said you were gonna quit, right?
Yes, I have been working for 3 years, and I work in different places before. Like I am teaching since okay, I arrived to Colombia and like 14 years.
You've been teaching there for 14 years in in the
No, three
school?
years, 3 years in that school, but in different places, totally of 14 years.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you this because what Jorge told me today is that he was thinking about asking your boss, the boss of each one of you, to evaluate your classes as the last resource for your practicum. Because, well, we were almost sure that we were going to have this agreement with American Schoolway, but I told you that these people were fired, so we don't still have an answer from them.
Hmm.
Anyway, Luis, if you quit, we will find a solution for you. Probably having you teach classes and I observe them. So having you record classes and so in order for me to to check them or any other solution. So we are waiting for an answer at the end of this week. But if we don't have an answer, George, I mean the director of the program, was thinking about asking you guys to talk to your boss in order to have an evaluation from your boss about your classes by the end of November.
Okay, teacher.
But it was
My
like
boss, you say the director of the area, the area manager, English area manager.
exactly.
Okay. Yes, I talked to him this morning, and I asked him for an appointment. So maybe I am gonna be there next Friday at 3:30 p.m. I don't know if he has time. I'm gonna be there
I mean, you say to
talking about
talk
this.
to George.
To talk to George. Yes, because it's when I do you remember what is the process that you do when you want to receive your your graduation? That is different that the thesis or that research
Ah,
program.
okay. Yeah, no, no, I'm not. I don't have exactly all the information. I know that students need like specific score average for
Yeah,
the classes that you have taken there. I'm not
yeah.
sure exactly what is that score.
I
And
read that is four. It's four. of the whole study at the university. And the problem is that I told him before that I wanted to do. Do you know? You know that you know Catalina Ladino. Catalina Ladino studied with us last semester, and she is doing that since 2 Saturdays ago. She's studying like specialization or part of the specialization for this process, you know. But George told me, no, you cannot do that because you have to
Yes.
go to American School Way.
America
So
School Way.
Ah, okay.
I received
But
a big deception. Yes, so
no, 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 but that's different.
we lost the
Yes.
opportunity to do the same.
Catalina also needs to video record her classes for teacher practicum one. She needs to record her
Yes,
classes, and what the other thing that you ask is about the requirement to graduate, which is instead of having you guys research or having a research project, sometimes depending on the number of students interested, the other option is to start some classes for the specialization on teaching English uh, related with TICs, with
yes, yes. It's what
ICT.
we wanted, but
Yeah,
it's
but it's different. It's different. I mean, that option is instead of having a research project, and the other one is you need to have in your cases that we are having problems in the American School Way, you will need either to video record your classes
yes,
as Catalina does, or to um, or to have an evaluation from your boss.
yes. That will be perfect. The problem the problem was that we lost the opportunity of doing the thing that Catalina and do a research project, you know.
Uh,
I don't have problem with teaching all the time. If you send me to another place, to another school, to normal classes, that would be perfect. But we lost the opportunity of doing the same that Catalina, that was the was studying at the university, part of
okay.
in the specialization
I got it. I got what you
to
said.
avoid to do research project. You know? That was the problem because you're so no, you cannot do that because you are an American school way.
In America
So
School
we lost
Way.
the
Yes.
opportunity. We need to
Okay,
do the same.
I got your idea. The idea is that Catalina had the opportunity to start right now. I mean, like in previous
On
days,
Saturday.
the classes
Yes,
about specialization on
yes,
teaching English. Okay, I
yes,
got it.
Yes.
yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
But we can do that because we work on Saturday. So
mm,
He
with
told us,
America School Way.
no, you cannot do that because you are an American school way. You cannot do that.
America School
okay,
Way.
I
We lost
got it.
Yes.
a big
Because
opportunity, you know.
both things
Yes.
at the same day, on
Yes,
Saturdays.
Yes.
and
Yes. Saturday. All day.
Okay, I got it now. Yeah, so you
a
need to talk to him.
research project is very hard and it's very long. Yeah, so
It's
we're gonna
long.
be what happened.
It's long. Maybe you learn a lot. You learn a lot, but it's long. It's longer
Yeah,
than yeah than just
Hmm.
some classes for the specialization for sure.
agree.
Paola,
Teacher, but I have a question.
yes,
For okay, the second option for us is talk with our boss in the school. Yes, my
yes,
school.
that's what George told me
Yes,
today.
it's in my.
That's what George
But I
told me
have a
today.
question. In my school, I can. It's possible to video to how do you say?
Video record.
Uh, yes, because they are student for policeman, so I can do that. I but the teacher or all the person who want to go to my school and watch my class, no problem. But video, I can do that.
Yeah, no,
It's
you
impossible
won't.
for because the students
Yeah, you won't have to video record your classes. That is in Luis
okay,
Felipe's case
okay.
because he's thinking about quitting his job.
Mm-hmm.
So if he quits his job, he won't have a
Okay.
batch for him to evaluate his classes. And in his case, he will need to find
Yes.
out students to teach some personalized classes and video recording in the case that Luis finally
Okay.
quits. Yeah, so okay, Paula, how long have you been teaching
Okay.
there in that school?
9 years ago, teacher.
Okay, you started 9 years ago.
9 years. 9 years.
Okay,
Yes.
um,
But I can. Yes.
this week I asked you guys to read some information about assertive communication. So
Yes.
I would like you to tell me what you guys know about the topic. What have you heard about it? How have you experienced assertive communication in the place where you have been working? Because it's an important teaching skill. Um, we don't. It is not only. I mean, if we have the knowledge about theories of teaching, we have like all the information about how to structure a class. That information is useless if we don't have good skills to communicate and to interact with our students. So I would like you guys to tell me what you know about assertive communication.
Okay, teacher, we read the document that you sent to fill for the next week, next Sunday, and you
Mm-hmm.
ask a few questions. So you put a few questions to put from 1 to 4. And what we usually do in class, or what I usually do, is to follow a process that I have been learning through the years. That first, like in every school, for example, first I need to play with the students. Second, I have to say hello, how are you? And third, we have to start the class asking about how are they, and start with the activity like is warm up, a little word about the topic. I try to answer the questions very sincerely to tell you that obviously we have mistakes, but we try to do our best, and we have been learning with you and with all the teachers here in the university about how to create the environment and the process for teaching the class. So it's very necessary to be assertive all the time, and more when you have a different levels of students. So what I usually do is that is I speak in English, I give instructions in English, and if somebody doesn't understand, I ask for a person that translates for them. But I don't speak in Spanish. Try to speak in Spanish never.
Okay.
But
About
necessary that they receive the message that we have to transmit, and we want that they understand what we want to do in that class.
For
okay.
me, it's different, teacher, because it's very important to make the class as the proper way. For example, I teach for kids the 7 and 8 years old. So when I arrive to the class, first the kids hug me and kiss me and tell me about the day, yes, for the yes, how was the day and also about that. Then when I explain my class, I always try to explain the topic with pictures because they are very short kids. So I explain with the picture, with a song or a video. Then I try to, with my face or my body, express the proper way. Yes, always smell And for example, to make a question about the face, if it's proper to always smell and
Smile.
happy, yes, smile, because the kids smile, because the kids know about if you are problem or not have a problem or you sad, I smile happy. One more. Um, no, something like that, because it's important to do the class in always. The kids try to love the class. No, it's boring all the time. No, it's always writing. And for example, if some kids have a problem, I try to ask him what happened and what the situation and try to help.
Okay, exactly.
No more
So,
teaching.
so what Paola mentioned about assertive communication is, I mean, she just mentioned one like strategy that she can use or that she uses, and it's asking students how they are doing, like getting close to them. That's important. So because I mean, we are not going to find you know about it because you've been teaching English for 10 years, 9 years. We are not going to find in the class like students who are ready to learn and who will do whatever we want them to do. Yes, it's not like we plan the class and everything that we plan is going to be that way because we need to deal with discipline, we need to deal with students' likes, we need to deal with the idea that they are humans, so that they also have problems, that they are kids, so they are immature and other things. So getting closer to students is important to get a good rapport, to have a good relationship with them, to understand that they communicate as well as we do. So, I mean, that it's not that we get to the classroom and that they will follow all the instructions, but the communication goes back and forth. So we get a reaction from them when we give them, when we talk to them, and they also communicate their likes, their things. They react in different ways, and we need to uh, like also answer or react to that way to what they are trying to communicate, right? So is to tell you that assertive communication is to find out a way to communicate in the best way possible so that we say things in a clear way. We also take into account students' likes, interests, problems. We we listen to them, and we try to. It's not easy, but when we have problems of um, discipline in the classroom, we need to try to find out the reason why those people, children, adults, or adolescents, behave that way, right? What is going on? They lack rules. They are being challenging. They are rude because of the atmosphere they had at home. There are no rules at school, like what Luis told me. There is no agreement between the principal and the teachers about the rules that students need to follow so that they behave in a correct way. And if they don't behave correctly, so everything that you plan for your class is gonna be, as Luis mentioned, a waste of time because they are not interested on working on that. And because if there is no attention from their part, there is no respect to classes, nothing is gonna be learned. So previous to teaching anything, we need to work on uh, teaching students behavior rules, agree with them about rules. So what is it correct in the classroom? what is correct outside the classroom, the purpose of classes, the things that will be avoided and allowed in class. So that's part of what we need to do initially at the end of the year. Paola, I don't know if you have some rules with your kids that they are primary school children, right? I don't know if you set some
Yes, yes, I have.
at the beginning of the school year, and if you do, please
Yes,
tell us.
yes, yes. When I in the each class, I every day in the class, I remember the rules. For example, I go to the bathroom when the bell rang.
Rings.
Yes, silence. Yes, silence in the class. Raise their hands when they want to some question. Do the line. When I check the activity, organize the the share, the school bag, all about that. I always, but it's important. For example, I in my class, I show a picture about the rules. So always say, okay, what is this? What is this? What is this? And the kids remember all the class what happened, what is the rules on the class.
Okay, good. So
And
you
also I begin the class with a pray and then say the rules.
good. So you have some reminders around the wall on the walls
Yeah,
in the classroom, so they can watch them, and you can also tell them that they
yes,
need to
teacher.
follow the rules. With adolescents, it's a
Yeah,
kind of difficult, right? Because then they are not going to respect the teacher, but they are going to be challenging and they are going to be rude. So with them, it's necessary to talk to them about the purpose. Why? Why are they in class? What they want for their lives? Uh, if they do want to continue their studies, so they need to be aware of some social rules, etc. So sometimes it's not that easy. Luis can tell us about that. So maybe Luis, you can tell us about uh, your students' behavior. Have you ever talked to them about that? I mean, what they would like in the future, the reason why they behave the way they do. Uh, could you tell us a little bit?
Yes, teacher. Maybe in other class I share with my classmates and the teacher. I don't remember what teacher was there. One of the biggest problem there is that they receive students without a placement test. What I mean is that they don't care if they go to. So it's terrible. I told 3 years ago, don't do that because the results are gonna happen in 3 years. We're gonna see that they cannot uh, um, have the same level that the other people. So there is a special kind of bullying between them. Higher they don't care, and when I work with some of them, the other people is bothering, and when I try to do a intermediate class, they don't have the level for working with us, and the most of the families, there are dysfunctional families. Most of the students have a lot of money, and the parents are working all the time, or they don't care about studying. I told them that it's very important to know that they go to the university, that they will need English, and I try to be assertive with them when I was working at the beginning of the year with 6, 7, and 8 grades. Maybe me to 10 grades because the other teacher was a new teacher, and the students, how do you say, treat her very bad. And the principal called me and told me that I have to go to 10th grades. But I knew what it were going to happen. It was going to happen. That is what is happening now. They don't care, and the principal told me, no, you have to, those are our clients because a business like other businesses. So what I would prefer is to work in a place where, for example, a micro school way, where people look for studying because they want, they like, most of the people need, and it's a totally different kind of education.
Okay, I got your idea.
But most of the schools are the same, That's the reason I'm tired of
Yeah, maybe the main problem at the place where you work, Luis, is that you don't have help from the principal. If the principal is not a
Yes, and the different
person that
levels of
is,
English. Yes, and the different levels of English, because I work with 40 people, in a classroom, and maybe 10 are in a good level. Maybe 10 are in B1, maybe. 20 in A2 and 10 in A1. So it's so difficult, so hard, and they don't care about that. The administration people or the principal, they don't care about what happened in the school.
hmm, yeah, we might have different levels, but what will be more difficult in that case is that if you don't have support from the principal regarding discipline, it will be really difficult, not only with the support from the principal, but also from the rest of the teachers, so that all of you need to work
Yes.
towards the same purpose, which is to guide the students or teach them how to behave and how to follow social rules. If that doesn't happen as a purpose that uh, comes from all teachers and the principal, it's gonna be hard to make changes in that group that you are telling us.
Very hard.
So yeah, yeah, because
I continue loving my profession.
yeah, so well, yeah, if you are frustrated and tired of that situation because you don't have support, it's better that you quit and look for other place where people uh, really want to learn, or at
Yeah.
least that you have support from the staff in order to deal with serious problems of discipline. Because in any place,
Yes.
education
Or
will be,
maybe primary.
yeah, in any place, education will be not only teaching content, I mean, teaching English, but also teaching the students how to behave. I mean, in any school.
Yeah.
When we teach adults, we are supposed, or adults are supposed to know how to behave. So we don't deal with misbehavior or those problems of of people being rude. But when we teach at schools, it's our responsibility also to teach them behavior with the help of the other teachers and with the whole staff.
The speaking all the time of the principal is they are our customers. You have to respect them. You have to when whatever. So I try to respect all of them, and I try to be patient. And I have a person that is working with me. She is studying in the Minuto de Dios University. So they practice in my school.
Uh-huh.
So and the girl told me, the girl is in the last semester too, and she told me, teacher, how can you support that? How can you be in this place? Because they don't respect anything, they don't care. I'm gonna tell your boss or your whatever, but don't tell anything because they don't care about that. They only care about customers, and all the language that they use is customers, so it's very, very hard. Yeah.
Yeah, so in this case, better you quit and look for other place where you feel that you are not wasting your time and your students really profit from what you can give them.
Yes,
That's
I have been working 3 years there, and I have been doing my best with all my love, but they don't care. I'm really tired. I have to find another place.
yeah,
Pray first. I have to pray first and ask God's help,
sure.
guidance.
Well, we will review some more teacher teaching skills. So, assertive communication is just one, but there are other teaching skills. Which others do you think are important?
Patience.
Yes.
mm, Passion for what you do. You have to be a passionate person for teaching what you want or what you do.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, those are like characteristics of teachers. And what do we
Okay,
need
okay.
to learn how to do in a class? We need to learn how to communicate. We need to learn how to what else?
You have to know how to use your tone of voice, as you told in the questionnaire. You have
The voice,
the
yes.
voice in special moments, or all the time you have to use different tones of voice.
Mm-hmm. To
Okay,
make a respect, yes.
okay. Use your
But I think sometimes the voice, yes, the body, the voice. But sometimes I don't know. For example, in my case, um, I try to, how do you say that? My voice always very high. Yes. But not always is a screen, no, but it's very high my voice. So sometimes the father,
parents.
or for example, the principal said I screen the kids, and no, and I try to loud the voice, but I can't. It's impossible. I don't know why. I don't know why. But but I always I very high my voice, so I don't know. Try to I try to loud my voice, but
Well,
it's
but it's because
impossible. I
that's
don't know
your
why.
tone of voice. Is your tone. Maybe if
Yes.
maybe if you scream, they will find the difference.
Ah,
So,
I try. Okay, teacher. Yes, yes,
just kidding, but yeah, sometimes
yes. Okay.
students have a high tone of voice that is not possible to change, which is different to scold.
Yes. Including my house. Yes, including my house. Also, I my tone is very high. So sometimes say my neighborhood, why you scream a lot? No, I no scream. I know nothing. It's my tone very high, including my home.
Even at home.
It's fun.
Okay,
Yes.
look, here we have other skill. We need to learn how to give instructions. What do you think should be the characteristics of good instructions? How do we know that we give good instructions?
When the student understands the activity.
Exactly. And what have you noticed about the characteristics of instructions for the students to understand?
clear.
Exactly.
Uh, you prepare the class. You prepare the class
In advance,
before the class. Yes.
right?
Mm,
So if
yes, it's clear.
you
And
prepare the class
and
before,
yes,
you will have a clear idea of what you are going to say. Exactly. So instructions need to be clear.
yeah,
What else?
yeah.
You have to be straight or concrete with what you
Mm-hmm.
are going to say to the student.
Very
You don't have
good.
to go
Yes.
around.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So don't make things more difficult, but the opposite. Make instructions simple, concrete, and clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good. What else? What other strategy do you guys use when you give instructions in order to make sure your students understand?
Maybe to follow steps. First,
Mm,
check in order organization in order to give the instructions.
Very good.
mm,
So number the stages of the instructions. So for example, number one, open the book. Number
yeah.
two, read page
Mm-hmm.
38. Number three, find out the pictures and try to predict the topic of the reading, etc. So number the stages.
To be sure if they understand or if they understood, we have to ask if they really understand.
But
If you don't
they
ask,
are always going to tell you yes. And you know that we cannot
yeah, yes,
uh,
and most of the time they say,
we cannot rely on that they have already understood just because they answer yes. Instead of that, what can you do to make sure they have already understood?
we know the level of the students, so we more or less we can ask, okay, if you understand, tell me again the instructions that
Repeat.
I gave you
Yes.
before,
Yes.
please.
Very good. So ask them to paraphrase. What else?
Didn't hear you.
Mm,
Okay, so my question was, besides asking them to paraphrase, what other strategies that can we use in order to make sure
For ex
students have understood?
as for the activity.
Very good. Ask them to do the activity, the first
As
part. Good. What else, Paola?
no, only ask for the student to repeat the instruction.
Okay.
And the other week,
Yes. Paraphrase
no,
number, list stages. Ask students to work on the first part of the exercise. What else?
I would sometimes I would want a student to ask the other student the same question in her own paraphrasing, and between couples to see if they understood. Yeah.
Yeah. So ask other student to use their own words to explain, or sometimes use Spanish, right, to explain the exercise. Good. What about let's change the skill. So far we have reviewed the skill of communicating in an assertive way and the skill of giving instructions in a clear and uh, concrete way. Other skill is to that is called road to the language? So rough tune the language. What's that about? You know?
No, turn English only. So
It's what we do. It's what we do when we are teaching beginners. What's the difference related to the language that we use with beginners and the language that we use with advanced students?
Maybe one difference is the speed. Sometimes we try to speak slower
Exactly. That's rough tune.
than with advanced speakers. Or
Mhm.
Exactly. So rough tune refers to the pace. So if we speak fast or slowly according to the student's level, but also with the vocabulary that we use. What type of vocabulary shall we use with basic students compared to the language, the vocabulary that we use with advanced students?
they have advanced, if they are advanced, we have to try to find different words.
Exactly. So we will use more words with
Mhm.
advanced, more difficult words in the sense that they are not similar to Spanish. While with basic levels, we need to use
Mhm.
cognates, which are words that are similar in sound, meaning, and form to Spanish words. So, for example, the word similar has characteristics that are equal in Spanish and in English. The form, the pronunciation a little bit, the meaning. So we need to use cognates. Okay, so regarding rough tuning the language, so we need to look at pace, if we talk fast or slowly, vocabulary, if it's rich or if it's basic, and with cognates. What else?
Example?
Similar.
Very good. Yeah. Examples. So we need to give more examples to basic levels so they understand the information we give them. They
Yes.
need more support. They need more scaffolding. They need more help.
Yeah.
We give them examples. Good. Any other idea about rough tuning the language?
Okay, speed, vocabulary. Maybe actions, something like, I don't know if this is a part of the rough tune the language. Maybe we try to show with images or pictures to them to explain what word or something like that.
Very good.
Is
Yes.
that part of rough tune?
Yes, it's part of rough tune. Rough tune is to adapt your language to the level you are teaching. So if you adapt your language to basic levels, you need to make gestures, use nonverbal communication, your body language, examples, pace. Your pace needs to be, you need to speak slowly, you need to give examples, you need to use cognates. Well, with advanced levels, it will be easier, right? It will be more natural, more real to what we usually do. Good. Now, other skill is classroom management. But that is very related to what we talked at the beginning, right, of the encounter.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
like setting rules at the beginning of a school year, talking to students to set the rules with them, talk to them about the reasons why they are rules in class, right? Like to all the previous, all the information that's necessary previously to teaching the language. We need to deal with discipline. Otherwise, nothing will be taught and nothing will be learned. Um, Paola, do you use any sign with your little kids so they know how to speak or I am sorry. Okay, we were talking about,
Okay, teacher.
sorry, we were talking about classroom management.
Classroom management.
And I was asking Paola if she
Yes.
uses any gesture so they know when to stop talking or for example, some teachers do this with their hands. So the students know that when the
Yes.
teacher does this is because they need to stop talking
Mm.
in pairs or in groups and they need to pay attention to the teacher. Do you use any of those gestures, Paola?
I, s- I sing a song
You sing a song?
with my hand. I say finger up, finger
Okay, that's also a very nice strategy with primary school students.
Yes.
Okay, Luis,
Yes, teacher.
do you have any strategy to have your students stop talking, like in the previous places where you worked?
Yeah, go beside the window, I keep quiet and silence, and they start between them. They start not fighting, but saying, "Hey, please let the teacher teach our class." They don't. Hey, silence, please. They start until they stop and they are totally in silence. I start again. So it take me maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute. But it's a good strategy because they know that they have to respect, the teacher, and they have to respect between themselves.
The
So I
person
go
who
and I
stopped.
stay beside, yes, I stay beside the window, and I seriously, I don't say anything, and I have another strategy, teacher. I put a light, like the light that when you go in a car. I have three lights. The first one is if I am doing an activity, a quiz or whatever. I put they have at the beginning of the class. I told them, okay, at this moment, all of you have 5. But if you start bothering, I put 4, 5. So I put the first light, I put an X. The second X is 4, and the third X is 3, 5. So when they are in 4 in the second light, they totally are quiet and in silence, and they continue, and they say that they cannot have less than 4. So it's a good strategy, and it is working all the time because they are worried about grades. They don't care about learning. They care about grades.
Grace. Yeah. I used to have a teacher in a class, and she used some cards with primary school students. So she pasted, she had 7 groups in her classroom, so she pasted on the table 7 cards. And each time the cards advanced, it meant that students were getting to the goal. So if the cards didn't move up to the from the bottom of the table of the board to the top of the board, so if the card stayed at the bottom of the board, the students didn't get the opportunity to have some time for themselves in the classroom. So it was also a race. So each group had a card, like a paper card pasted on the table, on the board.
Okay, sticker, yes,
Yeah,
with
just a
the
sticker.
tape. Okay.
If the card moved from the bottom to the top of the board, students got the opportunity to choose whatever they wanted to do during the class for 10, 15 minutes, like a time off for them to decide what to do with those 15 minutes of the class. But if the group that had the card that didn't move, I mean, if a group misbehaved, the card didn't move from the bottom to the top, so that group of students need to keep on doing other activities related uh, to the class. They didn't have that time off to decide what to do, but they had to do what the teacher told them to do. It was a
But
race.
what do the cards have on it,
No, it
on
was
them?
just they had just to move the card from the bottom of the board to the top. Like if they got to the top, they were behaving pretty well. If they were on the bottom, they were misbehaving and they didn't have the opportunity to make decisions about a nice exercise or activity that they wanted to choose for the end of the class.
Only white cards
Yes,
without
only the cards, the stickers. So
the
the
stick.
teacher moved
Okay.
the sticker, okay, you are doing well. So the sticker moved up to the table, to the board, sorry. And
Okay, it's a good strategy.
if the if the group were misbehaving, so the car stayed on the bottom. If the car stayed on the bottom, that group of students didn't have the opportunity to make decisions about the end of the class. That was a free time of time off for them.
Maybe we can use by lines in the class, line,
Uh-huh.
6 lines, 6 cars,
Exactly, with little with big
and I'm
groups like
going,
the ones that you
I
have.
use the cars.
Yes, because if you have 40 students, so
Yeah.
you will have like a
I have
six,
7 lines.
yeah, you will have like
Says,
different rows.
yes, 7 rows times six. Six is like 42, 40.
Exactly. So yeah, those, as you mentioned, Liz, students care about races because they are kids. So they're they're that's the way they think when they are kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Uh, I would like you to tell me when you use these types of seating arrangements. For example, circles. What type of activities do you ask your students to work on, sorry, when they are sitting in a circle? What type of activities?
To me, it's very difficult to work with a different kind of like orderly rows. It's difficult to put in a different organization. But sometimes I put it into groups when I make debates with them. They work. I have 2 groups, and they debate one topic. It's one of the times that I use different position of the rows.
Okay, if you want to increase the amount of time for the students to speak English, what seating arrangement do you use so that you speak less and you have students speak more in class? What type of seating arrangement will help you to do that?
Sometimes I try to use like horseshoe, like a V, like the universities in the United States, because I knew there when I studied there, they have different kind of positions, but the space in the classroom is very small, but I try to create a V or like a horseshoe, and they are exposed, they become exposed to the people, and they have to stand up and they have to show all the classmates what they are doing.
Okay, so that is if you want them to present information to the rest of the class.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if you want your students to interact most of the time during the class so that they are the ones who speak more than you? What type of seating arrangement would you use? And what type of activity?
Circle, maybe circle, or
Okay.
sometimes when in my book, for example, in my student book, have a many activity. So we can work in groups. So sometimes I use separate tables. Sometimes when it's activity in group, the three or four.
Yes.
And sometimes in circle when it's a game, or for example it's a complete activity in the workbook. So I work in circle. The student put in circle. So I
Very
try to use this one, circle or separate table.
okay. So we ask them to work in groups if we want them to speak more in English. But what happens usually is that when we ask them to work in groups,
Yeah.
they speak Spanish. How can we
Yes,
avoid
all the time.
students to speak Spanish?
Yes, yes,
What strategy
Uh,
do you have?
yes.
So they
Or
start
daily
speaking.
roles,
yes, I have already rules for that kind
or
of
daily
job.
roles.
Well, but this will be more difficult for them to interact. They will, this
Yeah.
type of seating arrangement will ease the group work. But once they are in this way, they start speaking Spanish. How do you stop or promote the use of English? Do you have any strategy?
While we take care of one group, the other group is speaking in Spanish.
Uh-huh.
When I try to talk with them in English, they try to speak in English, but the other groups are talking in Spanish in different things.
Yeah,
So
that
we
might
need to
happen.
control that in a small space and a big number of students.
But remember that
For
there are light
example, I
races,
try to
competition. What would you do if the light
Remember
race?
what, teacher?
sometimes, for example, I sometimes when the student speak in Spanish, I said, if you speak in Spanish, you give me a coin to the pig, and we have a money. Yes, something like that. Or for example, you speak in English and you ask me in English, you have a
Yes.
stamp point. Or for example, you have a sticker because these are very kids. So I have a sticker. So the student is try to speak in
Yes, I
English.
give them extra decimals. So they worry about two decimals or yes, yes, teacher. And they raise their hand and they start speaking in English, yes, like a
Yes,
reward.
yes, yes.
Okay, yes,
For my
they need a
student is
reward.
more easy because there is a kid. Yes,
Exactly.
there are a kid. So I say, okay, if you speak in English, you have a sticker. And I'm like, yes, yes, teacher. Or if you speak in English, I don't know, whatever things that is happy for the kids. So they try to speak in English.
Okay, they need a reward,
I
right?
yes,
Yeah.
Without,
yeah,
if they get, I mean, if they are adolescents, you can start talking to them about the uh, benefits of practicing more in English. So if they are more mature, they will understand that what they need to do is to practice. But if they are kids, we will need to reward them with something like the cars and that they have some time during the class to make decisions, or that they will get something at the end of the class, or that they like a punishment, like Paola mentioned, that they need to give a coin for the pig. They need either a reward or a, let's say, a consequence for the uh, for not collaborating in class speaking English. Good, but like the what would be like the ideal thing would be that for adolescents we can start talking to them about the reason why we ask them to use English and the reason why they should practice during the class. Good. Well, guys, these are like the teaching strategies that I wanted to review with you today. So you know that you have a task. Next week you will have a new task, and next week for sure you will know the final decision that Jorge will take about your practicum, depending on the answer, if we get or not an answer by Friday from American School Way. You guys have questions before we finish?
Yes,
Yes, teacher.
we learned a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I appreciate that you joined the encounter tonight. And so hopefully we will have the last decision next week. All right.
Teacher,
Yes, tell me.
teacher, are you in Bogota?
Yes, why?
No, because I think the sound the sound arrives later to you. So
Yeah, my
I thought that
connection.
you were in the foreign place or something like that.
No, my connection is slow tonight. But yes,
Okay, okay.
it happens sometimes. Sorry about
So,
that. Like, yeah, the
no,
last
no, no, no problem.
has.
No,
So,
no, no, teacher, don't worry.
curiosity, only curiosity, no problem. That's fine. Wonderful class.
Okay. Well, thank you for your participation.
And are you working at the university in face-to-face classes?
Could you repeat if I am working at the university for?
Face-to-face classes?
No, never. I mean, I meet a teacher practicum to students on Saturdays.
Okay,
But at the school where they are taking their practicum is having problems with the amount of students we get every Saturday. That's the reason why you didn't start your practicum in that place, because students in that school are not required to go on Saturdays and it's an option. And since that's an option, sometimes we have one student, sometimes we have three students for one course, sometimes we have six students, sometimes we don't have students. So
okay,
that's the reason why
Mm.
you won't have the practicum there. But it's the only class that where I see my students face to face. In the other classes, I have the chat.
okay. Thank you very much. We are gonna have an agua panela, and we see you
See
Okay.
you now.
in 20
Yeah,
minutes.
sure. I forgot. Will you have also?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah. Well, have your agua panela.
yes, teacher.
See you in
Okay, bye
15
bye.
minutes. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.
Bye, Paula. See you later.
Bye. See you.